Many of you know, if you're following the news, many of you know that the biggest story, say, post-Thanksgiving, pre-Thanksgiving, it started pre-Thanksgiving, but now post-Thanksgiving, it's beginning its trajectory to the top. It's peaking in terms of a story, are the party crashers at the state dinner on Monday night. Many of you will know then that the Obamas had their first state dinner at the White House on Monday night, a few days before Thanksgiving. They were criticized, by the way, for doing that. And the first country they invited was India. This was actually a brilliant thing to do. And the president and his wife came to the White House for a wonderful gala. They even pitched a tent and they invited a lot of famous Indian Americans, people like Deepak Chopra. A lot of stars and celebrities were there. There was a festive feeling. All of it good. All good. Well and good. But we find out that two people who were at that state dinner were not invited. A couple came and were not invited. Now, at any party or a wedding or anywhere else you go, if people come who aren't invited, it's a little bit amusing. It's not amusing at the White House. If people can get there who were not invited, that would mean we have a security breach that could include some disaster happening because the wrong people come to a state dinner where most of our government is, the president, the vice president, the secretary of state. Well, they were checked for guns and weapons and that sort of thing, so that's okay. Now we're finding out that these people were part of a reality TV show. Does anybody stop? I'm sure lots of people who see this video will stop and think, once again, the reality TV show has entered the public forum in some way that reminds us that these reality TV shows are not real, but they're constantly involved somehow in our public life in the most negative possible way, usually with some hoax. So it's real, it's not real. The most important example of this would be the balloon boy. Everybody knows about the balloon boy. The balloon boy, Falcon Henny, a part of a family that has already been on a reality TV show, is trying to get on another reality TV show, creates an elaborate hoax around a weather balloon, gets the law enforcement officials in this area thinking that Falcon, the boy, is in that weather balloon, creating an amazing disaster. Millions of dollars are spent trying to rescue the boy. Every news station, cable, regular network, covering this story, only to find out that the boy is in the attic. So we have another round of news about the boy being in the attic, that he wasn't in the balloon. The family's getting a huge amount of coverage. And sure enough, the balloon pops when the family goes on a national show and the little boy says, "We did it for the show." It was an incredible moment. It is the kind of moment they look for in a reality TV show. But what did it mean? It meant that his parents had told him to do this. The whole thing was a hoax. They created this hoax hoping to deceive the American public and get a contract for a new reality TV show. Of course, it all fell apart. We can be amused by that, but it does amount to a form of child abuse. This child actually was vomiting on other TV shows, obviously in huge turmoil about the secret he was keeping, the lie he was told to tell, and it was going to end badly. We know this. So we've got the crashers at the state dinner, and we've got the balloon boy. Is that it? Is that it? Or should we look a little deeper? How about John and Kate +8? Does anybody recognize that this John and Kate +8 reality TV show with the 8 children has now become a family meltdown? It's sort of like a car crash of a marriage, eh? But now it's not playing out on the reality TV show. It's playing out on our news programs, or so-called news programs. John and Kate are getting divorced, and we've got to know every detail. We've got to know the status of it every 24 hours, and what John said about Kate and what Kate said about John. This is insane. It is insane to be thinking about this family so much. and have this reality TV show then become the reality of our news programs, devoting enormous amounts of time and money, which should be private issues for a private family. But this is our reality. Our reality is the reality TV show, and we can't tell the difference between what's real and what isn't. More examples. A lot of these reality TV shows began with sort of this Survivor type reality TV show. This was wonderful. Hey, let's get 15 people, put them on a deserted island, see if they can survive. They can eat insects or whatever they can find. See who's the toughest survivor, and gave them, maybe $1 million, okay, for winning Survivor. Well, everybody's watching this. This is real for them. These people are trying to survive and eat insects. Well, let's look at that deserted island. They've got 40, 50 TV cameras, a crew of 120 people. What are they eating? Do you think there's a buffet table, or are they eating insects too? There's a huge buffet table. They're living in tents. They have a wonderful life. There are cameras everywhere. The so-called survivor people are just part of a TV show and sneaking off and eating at that buffet table. They admitted they do that. So insects during the day and sneak off to the buffet table at night, and the people watching the TV show can deceive themselves that they're actually on a deserted island. It is so absurd, you can't really believe that people would be interested. But of course they are. So we get more and more and more reality TV shows. We get this blurred line between what's real and what's unreal, and it's pandering to our lowest common instincts, which is basically the same instinct that makes us want to look at a car crash as we're driving along. It's really not what we should consider our culture, our society. It should not be what our children spend their time doing. This is not going to increase the sophistication and intelligence of the American public. And yet, because we watch it, then of course the networks and the cable stations give us more and more and more. So it's a good time to consider this during the holiday season. And I hope that somehow the reality TV show phenomenon is finally bottoming out.